Salutations to all our future judges. In this video, we are going to see Indian Evidence Act 1872. But before going into the video, I'd like to make few requests to our viewers as well as the subscribers. Kindly do not skip the video. Watch the video from the beginning till the end. If you skip in between, you may be missing very crucial information or very crucial aspects which have been explained. Hence, watch from the beginning till the end. And next request is, please do have a notebook and a pen with you, because various questions which have been asked in Evidence Act in various exams would be mentioned or would be stated. And in addition to this, idea would be given as to how questions could be framed in a particular section. It is very important for you. So you all need to make a note of all these aspects. And in addition to this, some additional illustrations would also be given while teaching the act. Hence, you please make a note of all those additional illustrations as well. They would be of absolute help to you in understanding the particular section. And in addition to this, various ways or techniques would be taught which would help you to remember those sections, or to say some memory techniques would be given. This would be really helpful to you in remembering the sections when you go to the exam. I hope this video would be of absolute and great utility to you. Now, we are going to see section 21. Proof of admission against persons making them and by or on their behalf. Let us try to understand this section in a very simple manner. If a person is saying to the court about something, say he is saying, yes, this happened, I did it. So in that case, whatever statement or whatever admission he is going and stating in the court can be proved against him. But it cannot be proved by or on behalf of the person who is making this statement, except under the following circumstances. There are three circumstances which are given under which admission can be proved by or on behalf of the person who is giving it. Let us see what are all those three circumstances. First point is very simple. It says if a person is giving an admission, it is relevant between the third persons under section 32. As you all know, 32 is pertaining to the dying declaration and other aspects. So now it says if a person is dead, who is making that admission is dead, and that admission would turn relevant under section 32 between third persons, then in that case the admission can be entertained. That is the first point. The second point is that if there is a admission which contains a statement about the state of mind or of body, and that is very relevant to the case, or it is an issue in the case. In that case, if that statement is made at the time when such state of mind existed or when such a bodily state existed. So in that case, if there is a conduct which is accompanied to this state of mind or body, then that kind of admission is acceptable, or it can be proved by or on behalf of the person making it. And the third point is, an admission may be proved by or on behalf of the person making it if it is relevant otherwise than as an admission. So it is simple. Imagine a person is thinking it as an admission and is saying some statement. If that is not an admission at all, he imagines it to be admission, the person who is giving the statement, he thinks that it is an admission, but that is not an admission as per law. Then in that case, if that statement is relevant otherwise than as admission, in that case it can be proved by or on behalf of the person making it. Now let us go to the illustrations. Now let us see the first illustration. The question is whether a document or a deed is genuine or forged. There are two people who are contesting in this case. One is A, the other one is B. A is saying that the document is genuine. B is saying the document is forged. In this case, imagine if B has given a statement that the document is genuine. In the case, he is saying that the document is forged, whereas sometime back he stated that the document is genuine. Then A can use this statement against B, and vice versa, where B may prove a statement by A that the deed is forged. According to A, the document is genuine, but his statement says that the document is forged. Then in that case, B can use this statement against A, but B cannot use his own statement to prove that the document is forged, or the A cannot use his own statement to prove that the document is genuine. It is simple that it can be used crisscross, but not the other way around. If I personally say that something is genuine, I have to prove it with other documents. My statement cannot be used to prove that the document is genuine, whereas I can use the statement of the opposite party saying that the document is genuine. So it's as simple as that. Now let us move to the next illustration. B, who is in this illustration, there is A, who is the captain of a ship, and there is a case which is being put for casting the ship away from its normal route. So in this case, evidence is also provided that the ship was taken out of the proper course. Imagine someone is filing a case against this captain. They are coming and showing in the court that there is an evidence to prove that the ship was taken out from the proper course. So in this case, this captain regularly has to maintain a book which shows the way in which he is traveling. He has to regularly note down. As you all know, there would be angles and various other technical aspects which show the route in which they have to go. So he is putting all these entries in his books. Every day, every time he is taking a ship, he is doing it. So this book is being produced to the court, indicating that the ship was not taken out of the proper course. That is, the ship was taken in the normal course as it used to be. So in this case, this A, who is the captain, can prove these statements because it would be admissible between third parties if he were dead under section 32. So imagine this captain is dead. Even if the captain is dead, this document can very well be used in his favor by the third parties to prove that the ship was not taken out of the course. Now let us move to the next illustration, C. So in this, A is accused of a crime. A is an accused. So the charges say that he committed a crime in Calcutta. Then this A, who is accused, he is producing a letter. He has written, handwritten letter, where it was dated at Lahore. He says he was at Lahore, and then he wrote a letter from Lahore, and there is a postmark. As you all know, like whichever post office you put your post, a seal would be put on that post. So there is a post which is from Lahore. Lahore post office has put a seal in that letter. So he is showing this letter to the court, saying that, see, I was in Lahore at the time when this offense occurred. He produces a letter. Whether this letter is admissible, that is a question. If A was dead, imagine if A was dead, then this would be admissible under section 32 clause 2. If he was dead, then this letter will be taken as a proof by the court. So in that case, the statement in the date of the letter is admissible, because even if he is dead, that is going to be taken as an evidence. So this can be used. Now let us see illustration D, where A is accused of receiving stolen goods, knowing them to be stolen. So there are two questions in this particular example: whether the goods were stolen and A was whether aware of the fact that the goods are stolen. So that is the accusation. So if he has bought, or if he has received those goods knowing that it was stolen, then it can be rebutted by him. And how it can be done? So he offers to prove that he refused to sell them below their value. Let us take a simpler example. Let us imagine he is having a gold jewel in his hand. That is the goods which is under dispute, or which he has been accused of as stealing or receiving, knowing that it is stolen. So, in this case, if that jewel as per the market value is costing rupees 1 lakh, he proves to the court that he was not ready to sell the jewel less than 1 lakh, because that is the market value. He cannot sell lesser than that value. This statement is obviously an admission, but still he has to prove these statements because it shows the conduct of A influenced by the facts and issue. So if he proves to the court that the jewel is costing 1 lakh, I was not ready to sell it less than 1 lakh, which proves that I am genuine. This person, if he would have bought the jewel without knowing that it was stolen, he would obviously not sell it for a lesser price. He would obviously sell it for the market value. Let us move to illustration E. Now, in this, A is accused of fraudulently having in his possession counterfeit coins, and they state that he knew it to be counterfeit. Now, this person who is accused comes forward and states that he is ready to prove that he asked a skillful person to examine the coin because he had a doubt whether it was counterfeit or not. He is trying to prove his innocence. Then that person examined it and told him it was genuine. The skillful person could be a person from a bank or a person who is working in the press or a printing press where the notes are printed or where the coins are made, or he might have been a retired person from the government organization which makes these coins. So in all these cases, this person who is accused could have asked that particular person to state whether the coin was counterfeit or a genuine one. He might have seen it and said like it is a genuine coin, based on which he would have got that coin. So in this case, this accused can prove these facts to the court, saying that I inquired with this particular person whom I believe to be a genuine person who knows whether a coin is counterfeit or not. And he also stated that it is not counterfeit, based on which I got those coins. So he can prove that he never knew it to be counterfeit. So he can prove his innocence. If you like the video, please do press the thumbs up button, do subscribe the channel and share the channel with your friends. Let me know what you feel about this video by way of comments. Let us join hands together and contribute for a learned society. Thank you.